Hi, I'm Kelly Kali, and when is now means to me, get your butt up and go do it. No excuses. That's it. That's all it is. When is now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast, When is Now, based on the book, The Outsider's Guide to Filmmaking and Life in General. I'm Capella. I want to say thank you to our new listeners and our returning listeners. And then you guys can gather any other listeners and ask them to come by. I'm super excited that you can join us. And I think you're going to enjoy today's conversation. It's with director, producer, actor, writer, Kelly Kali. I've worked with Kelly for many years on numerous films, and let me tell you something, she is the real deal. I can say that because I've been in this business for a while now. I think this episode is special because Kelly is my friend, she's my sister, she's my, I'll say partner in production crime, and we often refer to ourselves as Team Do Too Much. And actually, that got a credit in a film that we did recently. They specifically, at the end, special thanks, Team Do Too Much. This is an inspiring conversation. I think it will leave you with real tools that you can use today to create what you want. We talk about the difference between urgency and emergency. We talk about the role of psychological safety and how it plays out in getting the best out of everyone around you. Kelly shares how a great team, grit, and a stimulus check can turn into an award-winning film. Plus, I share one of my biggest hopes for this podcast. If it accomplishes one thing, this one thing, I would consider it a great success. So I hope you enjoy. Let's welcome Kelly. All right, everyone. Welcome to When is Now, a podcast with me, Capella, for whom the production whisperer. Thank you for listening. Today we have Kelly Kali, writer, director, producer, actor, everything. Thank you for coming, Kelly.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So for those of you that don't know, Kelly she had a film in South by Southwest. It was a jury recognized film. And actually, she was particularly recognized specifically, and they made the award up for her. It was like a multi-hyphenate, special jury recognition for multi-hyphenate creator. Was that it, Kelly?
Filmmaker. Yeah.
Filmmaker. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that went on and is actually going to be released in the UK in theaters in 2023. Then she went on to do a film with 20th Hulu called Blackout that she is in sort of final bits of post, and we can talk about that. And then she went on to make another film with MPI and BET. It's the Kemba Smith story, and we could talk a little bit about that. And then we have something slated for early 2023, right?
Yeah, it's slated for that.
All right. So When is always now. I've been working with Kelly for about 3 years now, and I can honestly attest that for her, when is always now. And I get phone calls in the middle of the night all the time. All right. So Kelly, tell me, first, can we talk about how, because I think you live in the now constantly. And let's talk about I'm Fine. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I'm Fine, thanks for asking, is a feature film that we shot during the pandemic. I just woke up one morning in July of 2020 and was tired of sitting around and waiting for permission to do something. And so I knew I needed to make a film. I had a stimulus check and some unemployment, like many of us. And I called my friends from USC and said, hey, I have a little cash. Let's go ahead and make a short. And they were down for it. And then I called them back 5 minutes later and I said, you know what? We are masters of making shorts. I mean, that's what we got our degree in. Let's try for a feature. And they're like, with a stimulus check? And I said, yeah. And it became a more, if you build it, they will come sort of situation. And that's when my friend Capella, who I'd worked on another project with before, she's a producer of, called me one early morning, and she was on the East Coast, and I was up every morning around 5:30 or so, because we had to start shooting at 6:30. And She was wondering why I was always up, and I said, I'm shooting a movie. And she found out it was a feature and she wanted in, and the rest is history, because that helped us make it across the line. And it went to South by. It got early acceptance, and then it won for the special jury award for multi-hyphenate filmmaker. And then it got bought by Viacom and went to BET and Showtime. And then now it's releasing in the UK theatrically, which is fantastic.
And it won a couple audience awards too.
Oh yeah, it won a ton of awards, which is a blessing. It really, I just wanted us to keep making something. So my intention was, of course, I wanted to get into a festival, but I mean, the goal was to aim for these bigger festivals, but I didn't know that it would go and it would win and it would get bought. Like I had no clue. The original intention was to not stay idle. And the difference between us and a lot of other people during that time is that they stayed idle. They, I follow my own drum. And I know that we were told to sit still, and I didn't. We did it safely, though. We had a lot of protocol.
But set the stage. This was before the vaccine. Yeah.
Yeah, the vaccine wasn't out yet. It was nobody really understood what COVID was, so it was very scary being out shooting it. But it's what gave the film all its unique elements that it has, because we had to shoot outside. So it caused us to really think. And I roller skated, so giving the character. It's, the story is about a mother who is pretending to her daughter that they're just camping while she's secretly trying to get the last bit of money she needs to get them into an apartment. So it was focusing on the housing insecurities that many people were facing during that time and prior to that time, and it still are facing. And so her only means of transportation were roller skates. So it was a really nice juxtaposition. Because it was a dramedy, that the skating countered a lot of the heavy elements and the story points that were in it. And it just made it a very unique film. But that's because we had to adjust to the pandemic and keep all of us safe. And we couldn't cast either. I had to play the lead, and then I had to make sure that the whole crew also played characters, because we were the ones choosing to take the risk. And so we couldn't invite people we didn't know in. So we had to keep it within our circle. And who'd have thought that this little engine that could did?
It surely did. I think that, when you decided to do it, you said it very casually. You woke up in the middle of the morning, right? And you was like, oh, I got a stimulus check. We're in the middle of a pandemic. None of my friends are working. I'm going to go ahead and make this movie. But there was 1,000 people that was telling you that was crazy. 1,000 people. Like, and still to this day, there's 1,000 people to tell you what you want to do, the pace that you're moving, everything you got going on. It's crazy,
Yeah. There's a lot of people in this world, their win is later. It's not now. And when you mix them with the nowers, you get a lot of naysaying from the laterer people. And so, I had quite a few folks who thought I was crazy because, it was a pandemic. None of us had lived through that before. I kept being told to wait, get all my ducks in a row, slow down, all that stuff. But it was exact divine order and timing. If I had not moved that day to make the phone call the day that I woke up with that, we would have missed the deadlines for South by and for Sundance and for the ones that we were trying to hit. And so we made it just in time. We shot the film in 12 days with 5 days of pickups, edited simultaneously. We had 2 editors to split the workload. We just were flying. And there were a lot of people who thought we were crazy, but that's why I always say you need to surround yourself with friends and people who are just as crazy as you, because you'll get things done. You need to surround yourselves with other nowers.
So I just have to say this, like the candy now and laters. I don't know for any 80s
Yeah,
babies. Now and laters just keep coming every time you make that a kid.
Part.
the now and laters, girl. All right. So
not the later.
Not the later. And also though, but like surround yourself with nowers, but you've got to like, you have to build a tribe of people that trust you. Cause I can tell you, Kelly, I've been in business for 25 years and you make me do stuff that I would never do. Like I follow you to like edges of mountains and I'm like, this makes no sense. It goes against everything I know to be right, but I'm just going to go ahead and follow her because you ain't led me wrong since, you haven't led me wrong ever. So you got to like not only find the nowers, but you've got to gain their trust. You got to build those relationships.
Well, I think the first person's trust that you need to gain is yourself. I think you need to trust your instincts. And once you've practiced listening and trusting those crazy ideas are coming to you for a reason and actually acting on them, you'll see that they will play out for the good. But a lot of people are afraid to trust what they're feeling, trust what they're hearing, trust what they're dreaming, trust any of that because the world tells you that that's not concrete. And when you realize that your feelings, your thoughts, your dreams, your emotions are concrete, they are the concrete that is pouring your pathway on this journey of life. And once you realize that and you start to walk it, you're going to see so much happening in your life. But so many people are scared to take that first step. So many people are scared to use the bricks that they were given to lay and pave the road that they have. Instead, they want to wait for someone else to pave a road for them that they can walk down. And the moment that you really trust yourself, no matter how crazy something may be, but you feel it, that's like, how people say the gut instinct, the gut really does tell you where to go, who to trust, who to talk to, who not to talk to. Your gut guides you and you need to trust it. And I say that that's the first person whose trust that you gain is yourself. And sometimes that needs to be practiced. Sometimes it needs to be practiced with little things. Like there might be a wide open parking spot near the front of the store and your gut tells you park in the back. And you think, well, why? The parking spot is right here by the front of the store. Practice. Listen to your gut. Go park in the back. There might be someone there that you were supposed to see, meet. There might be you needed that extra 10 seconds in order to get something, gain some information. If you got into the store too early, you would have missed it. You need to trust your gut and do little practices like that. And that will start to build the confidence in what you're doing. And then people will see that and start to follow. People follow and trust people who trust themselves. Like you look at Oprah, don't you think she trusts herself? People thought she was crazy. She was a news reporter who cried all the time when she interviewed people. They kept telling her, Oprah, you can't cry. You like, it's nice that you care about these folks, but you gotta like keep it together. You're the reporter. You can't have these emotions. But she didn't hold her emotions back. That's what made her Oprah. That's what made her different. And when she had the opportunity to have her own show, it's those tears, that empathy and sympathy that she has for people that made her who she is. She didn't run from it. People made fun of it, but she leaned right into it. And she is the Oprah we know today. And it's because she trusts herself. And so everyone has it. The only difference between anyone else and an Oprah is the practice of trusting your God-given gifts to follow what your path is and what your journey is in listen and trust and follow.
I love you said trust what you're dreaming. Trust what you're dreaming. How about that? All right. Mm-hmm. So I have very specific questions I want to ask about that because we had a great conversation that stuck with me forever. We've had a few, but this one really stuck with me. We're going to touch on it. But I want to know, where did this come from? This come from Pastor Chapman? Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, my dad was a pastor. And it certainly came from him. I grew up watching him not have maybe the money for the mortgage. And my mom freaking out because she's an engineer and she's very like ones and zeros. And I get all the emoting and feeling from my father. And so say they need the money for something, and they didn't have it. Dad will say, it's okay, it's coming. Like and he always sounded crazy, like, coming from where? And I tell you, every single time there would be a knock on the door, and I'm not making this up at all. And they'll be like, Pastor Chapman, the Lord put it on my heart to give you $500 today because I don't know, but I decided to drive by and I just need to say, like, this stuff happened all the time. And that's because I truly believe my dad is one of those people that listens and manifests things, and we'll be driving home and the house is right there, and he'll make a left turn and go the other way. And you're like, Dad, what are you doing? He's like, I feel we need to go this way. And then he'll see a church member on the side of the road broken down that needed help. Like, the stuff happened all the time growing up. So yeah, I was very blessed to be able to see it. So I know it's more challenging if you didn't grow up in a household where you actually saw these trusting your crazy instincts manifest and pay off. But if you can, just try it. And I say just try it with the littlest of things, where it says step to the left instead of the right, whatever it is, and just try to pay attention. It is a real thing. And I'm very grateful for my father and being able to see those things happen. But I do think that that's what he instilled in me, is that faith. And it's not just faith in any old thing. It's faith in what is driving you. You know, you got to trust that drive, that feeling that's in your tummy that I was talking about is real, and you are supposed to do it. You are doing what you're here to do. So that's what I listen to. That's what I'm navigated by. I mean, of course, mixed with safety and logic, but it's an important practice. I think that we all can benefit from, no matter what your career choice is.
So this whole podcast, I mean, you know me and you talk about this constantly. I sort of say nowadays I have one foot in the producer ring and one foot in the social scientist ring. And I'm very interested in behaviors. And I talk about sort of that gap between values and intention and behaviors. And a lot of times that gap can widen. People don't wake up intend to being mean or rude or depleting or devaluing. You know, if I would ask any group, do you value kindness? They would say yes, but their behaviors may not reflect it at the time. Yeah. So one time you and I were talking, it was on one of your more stressful shoot days of a movie, a studio movie. And you were like, yeah, it was a good day. I met all the extras, shook all their hands, learned all their names. And I was like, yeah, girl, that's what I'm talking about. See, it's so easy to be a leader. All you got to do is treat people with value and respect and make people feel as if they mattered. And you were like, oh, it is not easy. I have a lot on my head, right? I got a lot of stuff going on. So take the time. So yeah, go ahead and take the story from there, because it was a learning moment for me and I appreciated it.
It's easier for me to walk by all the extras and not say anything and preserve my energy for the day, you know, but it does take more time and energy to be kind when you're under stress. You do want things to move fast. You do want things to get done. But if you can look at the bigger picture and look at long term, especially as if you're leading something. Stopping and taking the time to acknowledge, we're in a business of human beings, right? We all like to be seen and heard and felt. And when somebody does that you're going to care more about that person and want to help them right back. And so walking by, many people would walk by the background because that's exactly what they are, is background to them. But the people who stop to take the time to treat them as individuals, because to me, they are individual actors. Their behaviors on screen are going to help build the world around what the story is. So every single body there really matters. And so it's important, although it takes more time and more energy to stop and be kind, polite, respectful. It pays off in the long run. And that's what I'm talking about, bigger picture, because if I am trying to save time, I save time by building allies. So now that I know Jack and Jill and Becky's name, when we're on set, I could say, that was great, Jack. Jill, you really slayed that. This is you, Becky, girl, you keep doing what you're doing. And now that makes them move faster, more efficiently, they want to be there. And so now we're actually a well-oiled machine that's moving versus slowing down, being like, no, that background over there. No, that one, the one on the left in the green. No, they keep crossing wrong. Could you, if you just say, hey, could you tell Jack that he needs to cross this way really quickly? It moves. And so, yeah, it does take more effort to be kind and patient and respectful, especially when you're on a timer. But you save more time when you do it, and it creates a better environment because people want to be, they want to help you. And if you, for some reason, are going overtime, or you need to call grace, if we're talking about film, you need to call grace for lunch. You're filming and you're supposed to cut for lunch, but you can ask for a little bit of grace. Everyone has to agree to grace. So if they feel you respect them, they're going to want to help you. Sure. And they're going to give you grace because you stop to recognize that they matter. And so little things like that add up, and it really shocks me how many people don't do it. Because every time I'm on set and there's a new group of background, I do it. And so many of them have said to me, you're the first director who has ever come over and spoken to me. And it's just remarkable that no one takes the time to introduce themselves. I'm just imagining how much more efficient and healthier environment it could be if people feel like they matter, because they do.
They do, absolutely do. This is something that's very important to me. And we live in a world where you never know the person next to you or the person driving in front of you or at Starbucks or on set. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know how close to the edge they are. You don't know what their family's going through. And extending a little kindness, grace, patience, emotional regulation, even in the toughest situations, it's very important. It's just beyond important. And I often wonder why more leaders, a lot of leaders can cross all the bridges that it takes to get to the top, whether it's like, Ivy League education or, all the boards and all the work that they do, all the backs they had to step on, but they can't cross a bridge of compassion or empathy or kindness.
It's because they haven't lived it. So I firmly believe that, everyone needs to have worked. And I think Ellen says this, but I thought this even before I heard her say it, but I 100% agree. Everyone needs to have worked in the service industry. I
agree.
I think you, I don't care what class you come from, you need to wait tables, you need to serve coffee, you need to and I feel like we would treat each other better because we understand what it feels like to be on the other end. And, I find it very important. I think that you can really see the difference in leaders who have served. I think some of the best leaders are servers and not people who want to be served. And so, like, for instance, we're going back to the background story. Well, I used to do background work. So I know what it feels like to sit there all day. I know what it feels like to never be seen. I know what it feels like to just be used as like cattle, like a body, like, you know, there's one time that I was wearing this sparkly dress and they loved it and they kept me the longest and just going off my butt and back to the thing, butt and back to the thing, butt and back, you know, and that's all I was. Like nobody came over and said, hello, what's your name? Da, da, da. It was just my body. And to me, I know what that feels like. And I think that that's the secret sauce is having been there helps you to recognize and to take the effort and time to make sure that no one on your production, whatever it is you do, as a leader, feels that way.
And you know what and with the background, with most anybody, could be an intern, an assistant, a background, a cashier, they have hopes and dreams. That background wants to be a lead. So they're sitting there watching someone else do what they want to do with all their heart and soul. And who knows what they gave up to, you know, be in Hollywood or be wherever. And they're eating their humble pie. They're sitting and they're doing background in hopes to get to that next chair or that next level. And that just needs to be respected.
They're actually artists, a lot of them.
They're absolutely artists.
When you talk to them, many of them really have given thought to their character. And I appreciate that as a director. Like, when you have to talk to them with your AD because the AD directs them. But when you're having these conversations, there's been many of them that are grateful to be listened to because they would say, well, look, I think that I'm having this conversation with this person. And then they say something to me that makes me really not okay. And so I walk away, which will help me to cross faster for this. And, you know, and I think it goes with the tone of the scene. They actually bring real backstories and it really makes a scene feel so much more alive. And if they're just listened to and given a chance, I mean, not everyone does. Some people are there just to, you know, get a paycheck. But when you know their name, they're no longer there to just get a paycheck. They really want to work and be there and work with you, you know? So it's, I don't know. I just see every single soul from PA, from production assistants to interns, to background, all the way up to the cinematographers, to the ADs, to the directors as just as important. All of them are important. We can't shoot a movie without background. It's going to look not real. You know, can't do a movie without PAs. Not going to get anything done. So just because these jobs aren't like the creme de la creme, they're the stepping stone jobs. It's just as important. You can't build a stairwell without the first tier of steps in the next one.
You're right about that.
Every step matters to get to where you're going.
Right. And that's the difference between a transactional leader and a transformational leader, honestly. Like, you know, even you just saying these, you know, I hope people make comments. I don't know how many directors, you know, find out and have conversations with backgrounds if they have thought out the character and built out their background and really, you know, so, I mean, we've spent time on it. That's why you're on the show. I think you're amazing. You influence and you inspire, pretty much wherever you go. And you're good at what you do. You know, you're not all fluff and emojis. You know, you are like a bad director. Bad is good. Bad meaning good. Director.
Bad, you know, USC.
Good. Bad isn't good.
Bad.
Exactly. Run DMC bad.
DMC bad.
Right. So, do you know, I don't know. I kind of think I'm hoping that I love filmmakers, beginning filmmakers. I love to talk to students. I love to talk to people that are new in a business. I adore it. And I hope that with your name, this podcast will attract a lot of those type of people. Do we or can we talk a lot about like indie sets versus studio sets or any little tidbits you can give us for the newbie starting out that maybe will find their way to this podcast?
Yeah. Indie sets are like the Wild West. You have much more autonomy, but also the world is on your shoulders, and it's on you to get it done. So it's much more of a hustle. You have to be a hustler. You have to find the money. You have to find the crew. You have to keep the crew because it's hard when they're not getting paid that much. So you have to be a champion that keeps people excited. It's a lot of energy, indie filmmaking, but it usually comes with a lot of passion. Usually the movie that's being made, there's somebody who is intensely passionate about the subject matter and wants to get it done. And that's what I feel like indies are all heart. They're just big walking hearts because somebody loves it. It's somebody's baby, you know what I mean? And
Sure.
Then when you get to the studio world, it can feel a little more factory-ish. And as a up-and-coming director, you sometimes don't get all the say. You oftentimes don't get all the say. And sometimes what you envisioned, it's not wholly you. It's more of a quilt, you know? So where you're used to sewing an entire blanket yourself, it's not that. You have a room of people and all of you guys got your patch and you're leading it and you're telling such and so to sit in that corner and you sit over there and you sit over there, but they have their own patches. You can't say what patch they sew on because that's their patch. So they're going to sew what they sew, and how the movie comes out is what the movie comes out to be. So the studio has more say, but it's a great experience because it teaches you major collaboration. Indies are obviously collaborative. However, it does have like a captain. There's usually a captain to an indie. With the studio, it's not like that. It's like it's not even a democracy. It starts off as a democracy and then there's a final ruling on the votes. And so it's good because it teaches you to not be attached. And I think that that's healthy. I think that that's a very healthy exercise because you got to also remember that this is show business. And while we are artists, this is still business. And I feel the studios understand the business. And when we come in as artists, we can be all artsy and such and be like, but I feel that it should be the color purple and blue and green in this scene. And they're like, nope, our audience doesn't like purple, blue, or green. So it's going to be yellow. You're like, but my pitch had blue, purple, and green. And they're like, yeah, but our audience doesn't do that. So but keep doing everything else you're doing. We like it. So, but it's good because it's like sweeping away the sands. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if it's a Buddhist exercise, but I don't know where it comes out of exactly. An Asian practice, but I don't know which one. But you make a sand design. They make a sand design, and it takes years to make it. And then when it's done, they have to sweep it away like it never happened. And that is the studio. Like you put in, when you pitch, you have all these ideas and like, this is how you're going to make it and this and that. And then when it's time for post and final decision making, you have to be able to sweep those ideas away and be okay with the collaborative ideas that are coming through. And I think that's healthy. I think it's great to come from the indie world where you have more autonomy. And so you can have that experience and then also be blessed enough to have a studio experience where you must be collaborative. You must be. There's no choice, period. And I think both are good for you.
So the obvious question is, what does that do when ego? I mean, everyone has ego. What does that do for ego?
Yeah.
for everyone involved.
Oh, it hurts. Ego cries. Ego is very sad in the studio system. Ego.
So do we release it? What do we do about this?
You got to leave ego at home. Ego can't come to the studio job. Ego's got to stay in bed until you're done. Ego didn't get a badge to the lot. So ego can't come on the lot. There's just no place for it. There's no room. You're not going to get hired again if you bring ego. You got to leave that cat at home. You got to be able to just be humble but yet firm on what you really believe. It's a good exercise. It really, really is, because you get to pick and choose what you're going to dig your heels in the sand on, and what you're going to be like, okay, I'm not going to fight on that one. That's fine. You know, it's really, really good, because a lot of these jobs, like if you go directing television, that's exactly what it is. You are a hired gun for the showrunner. The showrunner is boss, not the director. You're there to see through the mission that the showrunner has sent you off on. And that's what you're supposed to do. And some of these studio features can be like that as well, where, you know, the execs have final say and you just have to, you know, see through the vision. And that's okay. But if the vision seems compromising to the story, that's when you say, I don't think we need to go that direction. Let me pull out the map, General. Let me show you why. Because I think that there's, you know, a ditch over here that all the troops will fall in if we go down that path. I have an idea. I think if we do it this way, and it's always a discussion. It makes you think. You can't be lazy in the studio system. You just can't.
You can't be lazy in the industry.
Be thinking.
Yeah. You
can't be lazy in the industry, but you really, really, really can't be lazy on a studio. Like you have to navigate so much. It pushes you so fast. It's like you're in a canoe on a moving river and there's rocks everywhere. And if you just stop for 1 minute to just look at the landscape, you're going to hit something. You got to constantly be pushing off the rocks, moving this way, moving. It's a lot of like, which way do I navigate? Do I go with this one head on? Yes, I do. So I am. And so on this next one, I'm not. I'm going to pull back and let someone else have it. And it's a lot of compromise. And having ego will not allow you. You're going to drown out in that river. You're going to fall out your canoe. Too many people in a canoe, you got to leave ego at home.
And so we leave ego at home, but we still got to boss up, because you can't put like your trajectory in the hands of your agent, the hands of your manager, hands of your producer. You like individuals have got to push constantly. And I feel like that's what you do. And I've seen examples of people that, you know, might have started at the same place, and one pushes hard, one pushes medium, one pushes maybe releases all of their autonomy and puts it in someone else's hands. You know, my agent will take care of it or whatever. But that's like, no one's going to push more than you. Right?
Right. Yeah. You have to always be your own advocate, and you have to know what your plan is.
You are like, just, you know, I've worked with I've been in business over 20 years. I've worked with amazing directors, but I have just, it thrills me to watch you work and push. Relentless is all I can say.
Yeah. Well, you kind of have to be, but you have to have a vision. You need to know where you're going. You can't just be pushing to push. Like, you really need to believe in what you're pushing for. Like, push for those things that really matter to you. Don't just be pushing folks, because then you become pushy. But when you're like, have balance, I feel like and Capella, you know, I'm pushing on stuff I know I can do. Like, I know I can do it. And I'm just like, yo, get it for me. Get me in the room, get me on the phone, get me in there. Like, and that's what I'm pushy about. And because I feel it, and when I feel something, I need to act on it. I need to go now. When is now? And so that's when I'm pushy. If I'm iffy about something, then I'm not going to just be pushy to try it out to be pushy. I might bring it up and get people's opinions on it, but you might not hear about it again because I don't have a strong feeling about it. So I think it's important for people to have clarity of what it is they want, to make lists, to write down and make lists of what it is. And it can be super duper crazy and far fetched. It doesn't matter. Write it down. I don't care if you want to direct Star Wars and you think that that's out of your league. Write it down. It doesn't matter. You can direct Star Wars. If it's in you and it's driving you, that is what you need to do. And then you write that goal down and then you look, well, what do I need to do that? Maybe I need to direct more sci-fi things. Maybe I need to write more sci-fi things. Maybe I need to watch more sci-fi things. Maybe, you've got to have a plan. You can't wait for someone else to have a plan for you. You need to know where you're going. That's the first step. Everything starts with you. You want people to trust and follow you. You need to trust and follow you. You want people to make plans for you. You need to have a plan and a vision. That's when people do what you want them to do when you set the precedent of what it is you want them to do. If you want people to call you by another name, change your name on social media platforms. Introduce yourself as that new name and bet everybody is going to call you by that new name. People are going to do what you ask them to do, but you have to say what it is. Nobody's going to challenge you on it. No one's going to be like, well, can I see your birth certificate? They're just going to take the name that you give them and that's the information. So you dictate the world around you. You dictate how people react to you. What you put out is what you get coming right back to you. And so if you this is who I am, tell the world and it's going to come right back to you. And so that's why you need to know what you want. You have to know. And if you don't know, then think about what makes you happy. Think about the last time you laughed uncontrollably. What triggered that? Was it a type of movie? Maybe you want that type of film. Was it an outdoors adventure that you had with your friends hiking? Maybe you want to do hiking stories and videos. Maybe find where your joy is, because then you won't ever be working. You'll be as crazy as me and Capella. We call ourselves Team Do Too Much, because we don't feel like we're doing too much, because we love this. We are
but to the outside world, it looks like we're doing so much. Yes. But don't you think other people look at us like we're doing way too much? We're doing normal stuff.
It's normal.
But everyone thinks we're so crazy.
When you love something, you're going to do it all the time. Like, look at people who, you don't say that about pro football players. They eat, breathe, live, sleep, drink football. That's all they do all day, every day. Look at tapes on their days off, watch games, do that, talk football. And no one's saying, oh, they're doing too much. No, they're doing what they love, because that's the amount of hours that it takes to master something and to pursue your career and your dreams. You have to seem obsessive to other people. If you're not, if people don't say you're doing too much, then you're not doing enough.
You're not doing enough. I agree. That's like they say, if you're not embarrassed by your ask, you ain't asking enough.
That's the message.
I agree.
Some point this year, someone needs to tell you you're doing too much. And then you know you're doing the right amount.
Just enough. I agree. Well, all right. So the last little piece I wanted was like any tools. I feel like you got to own your dreams, right? You got to trust yourself. You got to do too much. It's probably about enough. What else? Be kind. Treat people well. Give me some wrap ups here. Some tools people can walk away with. The practical one is be kind to the people. No, just be kind to people that are within your reach.
You got to think about what it is that you want. There's very few things on this earth that you can do without other people. Very few things. So it would behoove of you to learn, if you're not doing it already, how to treat other people well. Because even if you're only thinking of yourself, even if you're that type of person, and that's fine, to each its own, you have your own journeys. even if you're the type of person that really only cares about themselves for your own well-being, it would be wise to treat other people well so that you can be well and do well, because it is darn near impossible to exist on this planet without having to interact with other people. But the more you care, the more you're going to be given back. And I think we all want to be treated with kindness. Like, little things bother you. If someone honks at you because you didn't move fast enough at a green light, you feel like, golly, can you chill out?
Honestly, Kelley, like if we did this whole podcast and someone didn't, like someone thought and took a beat before they honked at someone in front of them, I would consider this one of my greatest successes in life. I think honking, and it's out of control in LA, is terrible. Everyone needs to relax a little bit and be a little kinder.
There's a friendly toot toot. There's a friendly toot
that's
toot.
fine.
And so everyone should practice it. So this is your beginning of kindness to others, especially in places where there's lots of road rage. It's like there is the honk, right? And then there's a like toot toot, like the light screen, hey, or you can count to 5 and just wait, like whatever it is you want. But that is an act of kindness. Your little toot toot or wait. This is such a funny conversation. But these little things really matter, because it's like you said earlier, Capella, you don't know what other people are going through around you. You don't know what that person is. And your kindness might have really alleviated some of the stress, or you didn't add stress to their day. I think that there's a nature in this industry that was practiced for a long time of just yelling and hierarchy and bossing people around. And I think it's time to change. In this industry, there is a history of hierarchy and it's like a caste system in a way, where you treat people who aren't above the line, even the way that's broken down, above the line, below the line, not as well. And I think that time is over. I do understand that there is a hierarchy of like who's in charge, but that doesn't, this isn't a democracy on set. You can't take a vote on what shot we need to get, but you can still treat everyone who's there to help your vision. And this goes for not just film. I know we're talking film, but this goes for anything you're doing. I don't care if you're a lawyer, a doctor, a CPA, whatever it is that you're leading. The kindness and respecting people for their contributions, small to grand, it's going to pay off and create a healthier environment, and healthier environments thrive. And so whatever it is that your goal, if you want to water and feed your goal to grow, the best fertilizer for that is kindness.
Yeah. I mean, I think, part of things I say that I want to do is I want to teach us Gen Xers how to speak to the Gen Zers and the millennials, because I don't think they're going for this zero-sum game that we have all been taught to believe that this industry has to be. This can be a win-win. This industry can be a win-win. And I'm glad that you brought that up.
Totally. It totally can. Yeah. It doesn't need to be grumpy like days of old. It can, you can have fun on set. You don't have to be, you guys, we're making movies. We get to make movies. Like that's
we're in the best industry in the world.
We're not at, I know people compare it to war. They're like, we're going to war. And I'm like, are we? I don't think so. Have you
just making a movie
in the military? I don't think we should make that comparison. It's not quite war, And so it's like, it is not that serious. It's serious because you're using other people's money and like you need to get it done and you need to do it well. Yes. You need to be respectful of the opportunities that you have to do something well. But it doesn't mean that compromises the health or well-being of the people who are there to help you execute that.
That's one thing I talk about all the time is urgency versus emergency. Everything is not an emergency. Life and death is the only emergency. Yes. Everything else is urgent. Late lunch being late, Yes, lunch being late is a problem. Yeah. Exactly. But it's not an emergency. Everyone needs to calm down and treat each other with a little. Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to say one last thing. Yeah. I want to say one last thing. I talk a lot about relationships that have trust and respect, and enabling, and the relationship that I watched between you and one of your writing partners, Reggie, was, I think, one of the nicest relationships I've ever seen. And I think that you guys got so much done simply because both of you guys checked your ego at the door. He, as the scriptwriter, checked his ego at the door. He took your notes as the director, and you guys worked in like such a harmonic way. And it was really because the egos was out the door and trust was in the door, where other people are trying to save everything, defend everything, argue everything down. It was not your MO. And that's how I knew that this would work. That's how I knew that this works, honestly. And it increases creativity, better project, better bottom line.
Yeah. I was really impressed with Reggie, because this is his first feature that he's writing. He could easily be precious about it, but he trusted me and trusted my opinions, and things that we would discuss and come to an agreement together. And that just makes for, one, a better story, and two, more, again, it's efficiency. A lot of it is like getting things done and not being so stubborn about everything. I think when you respect each other, again, respect is such a powerful word, because it's like when you have respect, I have respect for him coming up with the idea and, the bones of it. And then he has respect for me as a creator to add the like flesh to it. And then together we put, more on it, and it becomes a whole entity after that. But that's because neither one of us were precious about our ideas, and it creates a better environment to throw things out, because I feel like when you feel comfortable enough to just throw out crazy stuff, you get better stories, because you're not like feeling judged or like, oh, should I say this? They might think it's stupid. But when you have people around you, when you create an environment where you feel respected, and it doesn't matter what ideas you throw out, you can come up with the world. I mean, the movie is like shadow dance. There's these shadows that come out and like pull apart and stuff like, and if we were being restrictive, like it just would have been a regular dance movie where it's just dancers. But now you've got other elements that bring in VFX and just really cool stuff, because we went there and we didn't restrict anybody's ideas. I think that is a blessing to have that. And if everyone could create that environment, and it starts with you being humble, because oftentimes people will match the energy you bring into the room.
Agreed.
Yeah. So if you want
as
that,
a leader,
then you've got to set that yourself too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, organizational psychology would call that psychological safety, right? Where you sort of give each other that leeway, that benefit of the doubt, that opportunity to throw stuff out without being judged or a fear of being wrong. And I think you're exactly right. So much more exciting stuff can happen. Okay. So I want to wrap this up. I want to make sure. So we have I'm Fine. Thanks for asking. It's on BET Her and BET Plus and Amazon and iTunes and or I don't know, Google it. I don't know. I'm Fine. Thanks for asking. And then we have
it's in Europe, and
it's in UK in theaters. HBO Max in Europe. Yep. In theaters UK in 2023. I think February-ish, something like that. Okay. Find it on Instagram at I'm Fine. Right? Is that the Instagram handle?
It's Thanks for Asking movie. Yes.
Follow Kelley. I am Kelly Kali. And then Blackout is coming out on Hulu in like June, right?
Probably June. Yeah.
Okay.
So far.
And then
just if you follow me, you'll find out when.
Perfect.
And then
Kimba Smith,
we didn't really talk too much about Kimba. Yeah. But that's the latest movie that I've done in Atlanta about Kimba Smith. If you Google her, it's a phenomenal story. It has to do with prison reform. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
So it's about a young woman who came from a upper middle class family, very sheltered, went to college and at a HBCU in Hampton University in Virginia. She went to an off-campus party and met someone who didn't go to the school and really fell for him, and come to find out he's a drug dealer, that a big kingpin, and she got caught up in the mix. She didn't sell or deal any of the drugs, but when he got killed, the prosecution needed a fall guy, and they used her under these new mandatory minimum sentencing laws where you can give time by association of someone who has sold drugs. This takes place in the 90s, and this still affects people today. It's still a big issue. And she ended up getting 24 and a half years for never selling drugs. They tacked on years to her sentence dating back to 88, 89, when she was a minor in high school and didn't even know the guy. And so it's about her fight to get out of prison because she was wrongfully placed there. And so I know people, I have a best friend that happened to, similar. And there's a lot of other Kimba Smiths out there. So the story really meant a lot to me because I lost basically like a sister for a decade because she cooperated, and that a decade was still what she got. And she got caught up trusting someone from church, thinking that she was just accepting packages, and it ended up being drugs. And so this happens to so many people, and there's no mercy for first offenders like that, especially people of color, especially Black women. And so this film really addresses the criminal justice system, or the injustice that is within it. And
so you got to work closely with Kimba?
Oh, yeah. Kimba was on set every day. I love her to pieces. Got to be with her and her family, her parents who fought for her nonstop. If it wasn't for her parents, she's so blessed to have parents like this, because they were the X factor between her and all the other people, all the other women who were put into prison for excessive sentences. The difference is her parents never stopped fighting.
All right. And we're looking for that to come out end of 2023 in BET?
Yeah. So we'll see. They're aiming for festival runs of 2023, and then possible theatrical release. We'll see. It's too young right now to really say, because we're just now moving into post, but maybe a release at the top of 2024 for BET, but it might do its other rounds throughout 2023. So we'll see, because we're still editing.
That's awesome. All right. Well, follow I Am Kelly Kali. Yeah. You'll keep up with everything. I think we will call it a day. If there's anything else you want to say, I want to thank my podcast producer, Jared Redding. Thank you for being the man behind the plan. Kelley, any last words?
Yes, my last words are, if you are thinking about doing something, or you have been thinking about doing something, it's been on your mind for years or just for a day, but you feel it in your bones, act on it. Do it now, because it is what you are supposed to do. Listen and trust yourself, because when is now.
When is always now. All right, everyone. I'm Capella. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time. So, that was a great conversation. I think Kelley and I talk several times a day, and we just was able to capture one and let you guys in. And I'm so glad you were there. Kelley's reliance on her intuition, how she trusts it, and how imperative it is that we surround ourselves with people who support us And the way she says, just as crazy as us, because a lot of times that's what you need to get things done. Her and I absolutely are aligned with how we treat people, staying calm, and just really understanding what you need to do despite any naysayers in your life. I mean, because when is always now, right? I want to thank Kelley. Please, if you like it, share it, subscribe to it, follow it, leave a review, follow us on our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, When Is Now Podcast. And I always want to thank my podcast producer, Jared Renning, and thank you, Contavious Jones, for the wonderful music. Have the best day, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.